All right, welcome to episode 63. I am your host, Chris Gogolin, back for another episode edition, whatever we want to call it this week. Thank you for joining us, tuning in tonight. Looks like Twitch is running a promotion right now. It is September. See what they got going on here. Looks like a discounted price if you're paying for subscriptions or want to gift subscriptions. You can do that cheaper. All right, okay. Well, looks like my sub-anniversary isn't for another 10 days. I'll have to remember to renew that when I'm tuning in to watch the World Championships, which are coming up here soon in just about 10 days. So, GEMP's kind of quiet right now that the OCS has wound down and we have our top 16. We do not have the. Oh, that's what I wanted to do this week. Haha. I'm going to pull this up over here and work on the side because I want to get this stuff all together. So, we do not have. Maybe I'll save it for next week. We don't have the top 16 draft yet. That's going to be coming up after Worlds, unfortunately. A couple of the players who are competing in Worlds brought up some accurate, we'll call it accurate, points that by doing the draft and having people know who their opponents are prior to Worlds, the people who are going to Worlds who are focusing on that would be at a disadvantage because while they're preparing for Worlds and playing in the tournament and whatnot, their opponents would be gaming against them and have extra specific practice time and whatnot. So, oh. RuneWise, thank you for following us along now. Um, so we're gonna do the draft after Worlds, hopefully as soon after Worlds as possible. Perhaps that following Wednesday. Maybe we'll let Dan and Queso take a crack at it if they want to do the draft for their new show, which is the SWCCG Hollow Theater, which is back. Queso had done a few episodes of that show before. With Robbie Hendon as his, or Robert Hendon, Rob Hendon, however he prefers to be called, as his co-host until he decided he no longer wanted to do it or be a part of that that process. So he got a new co-host. He's got Dan not with him now. Last week's episode was pretty good. If you haven't seen it yet, it is available on the still on Twitch under videos. It's also been exported over to YouTube. They've got nice little interviews with Adam Trunzo and Greg Shaw about their performances at North American Continentals, and they're both in the upcoming OCS as well, I believe. So just kind of some stuff about that. And they will be trying to do a weekly show every Wednesday. So make sure you get Star Wars 2 nights a week now, or 2 afternoons at work the following day, however you prefer to watch. But we will get the top 16 for the OCS done here shortly after Worlds, and we'll start all those playoff games in October and November, and try and wrap this all up before the holidays, because we do have another special event coming up. It will be an online tournament. It is only for some of the top players, and obviously some people will need to talk to about this. But we will be running a tournament. It will be called the Outrider Cup, which I think is pretty awesome, kind of like the Ryder Cup. It will feature top Team USA players versus top European players or non-North American players. I don't know if there's anybody in Australia or other parts of the world. Africa, we got 1 or 2 people in Africa, so I guess they would be potentially on a world team or whatever. But it will be based off Player of the Year points. For a while now, we've always said that Player of the Year points don't. Somebody wins Player of the Year, but there isn't really like a big prize for that. We will have all the details on this coming up in the next week or so. I just want to refresh real quick because I'm not seeing comments. So either you guys are quiet or I'm just not seeing comments, which happens. But anywho, yes, Outrider Cup. No one is saying anything. All right, well, that happens. That happens too. Some people are just quiet. But thank you for letting me know. Um, so yes, so it'll be based on Player of the Year points, top five, top six. I think it's gonna be top six. Um, it'll be top five plus a captain's pick, and then the captains will be the highest ranking players on each side of the Player of the Year points. Assuming they want to do it, that they're interested in doing it. If they decide they want to pass on it, it'll just pass down. Um, but there'll be some cool prize for the winning team. Obviously, bragging rights that who's better, Team Europe, Team USA. I know they had talked a few years ago about trying to have like a real life tournament, and they're like, where would we play? And like, well, we'll just meet in Iceland because it's halfway in between. And yeah, I don't think you're going to get a dozen guys to all fly to Iceland just to play Star Wars. I mean, there's other stuff to do in Iceland, which would be awesome. But now with just how good GEMP is and how popular it is, having this type of Team USA versus Team Europe tournament seems like a fun way to celebrate the holidays and ring in the new year. Also helps fill a little bit of that void between the OCS ending and the next one not starting until February. Just kind of a lull in the online competitive community. So that'll give us some more competitive games and things like that we could stream on Twitch whenever possible. And so there you go. That will be the potential new tournament for the end of the year, the Outrider Cup. More details will come on that in the next week or two. We're just finalizing the details of it, and we'll go from there. The other thing that just happened today, forget Iceland. Let's do the Octu Island. Where's that, off the coast of Scotland somewhere? It kind of gives Team Europe a home field advantage, though, doesn't it? So, just make sure, see if I'm dropping frames or anything. No, looks like it's holding pretty good. Okay. So, the other big thing that happened today is the remainder off the coast of Ireland. Okay. Well, still same difference, and that would certainly give an advantage to Team Europe. It'd be much shorter travel for them, and the possibility, of course, that they may even, Justin Branch from the UK may be on the team, so that could be a thing. He'd really have home field advantage then. Wouldn't really have to go very far. Um, but anywho, the other big thing today, we finally have the remaining lists from North American Continentals, and they were double scanned, so there's 40 something blank pages between them. Do apologize for the delay in getting these out. Fortunately, they were mailed back to someone who was expecting to be able to scan them right away, but had an unfortunate medical incident that kept them sidelined for the last couple of weeks. But back at it now, and we have the lists. So we've got the remaining day 2 lists for what Tom Haid and Reed Smith played, because we had 6 of the 8 lists already published for North American Continentals. They were all right here on the first page. So we had 6 of the 8 from day 2. Now we have the remaining day 2 players. And then down here we had like 25 or 30-ish. I think it's about 25 of the other players. So now the remaining day 1 lists have also been added. So we've got, I know some people were interested. There's Adam's No Idea deck, what he played day 1 to qualify. That was one of the ones that we were missing. I think day 1 we had Greg, Joe, Chris, Brian, Matt Scott. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're looking for Tom, Reed, and Adam's lists. So Adam played court. Here's his court list, in case you're interested in that. And then his no idea list as well. See how that varies from some of the other no idea lists that were also played. Just looking at it, I can tell he's already got more ships than a few, and speeders and stuff. So he certainly had a bit more, I guess, muscle. Maybe some might consider it unnecessary, just saying just play more guys, because you have so many guys in this deck that are all great. You can just keep playing more of them. You don't really need the extra things like Blue 11 and Dash. but I guess they are good to avoid things like Doctor E. If you're not playing, he's playing at least one Keep Your Eyes Open and an Odin First Aid combo as well. So he did have plenty of weapons protection in his particular version. They might not be in the EU. Yes, yes. Silver Glen would get to be part of Team Europe. Uh, the whole Brexit thing, I don't even know what's going on with that. I don't think they know what's going on with it, but I think it's also part of the problem. But so we got Adams. I think these in alphabetical order, or are these in no order whatsoever? These are in no order whatsoever. So we're gonna go look. Pardon me, while I scratch my nose. Uh, Ryan Jellison played Coruscant CRV tanks. That makes sense. Now, if you can decipher his handwriting, you can figure out exactly what he played. That is always a challenge, and that's one of the reasons we are trying to expedite the process to move everything over to electronic deck list submissions. It speeds things up in terms of getting them posted after the event. It also makes it very easier for the people putting them on the homepage to be found. And three, you never have to worry about exactly what did some what is that abbreviation, or what chicken scratch does that say? So yeah. So all right. So some interesting, lots of map, some WAP. Matt Wadden's noob idea. So I'm guessing this is a no idea deck. Yep. Yeah. Just lots of throne room. Walseth played ISB. Did he play the Imperial? Yeah, mostly the all Imperial version here. It looks like. But with 5d6, which you can't play if you run domination. So, but otherwise, is that it's basically just all Imperials. Death Squadron assignment to get the Star Destroyers and a couple of the guys out. Actually, where are his ships? What am I blind? How am I not seeing? Did he seriously not play? The only ship he played was Scimitar 2? That can't be right. These are all effects. Interrupts, commands, surface defense. He's got a laser cannon battery in the deck. Oh, a Vengeance. He played one other ship. Yes, thank you. I guess I'm about a 15-second lag right now. So he only played one ship. Interesting. I would have thought you need at least most ISB decks run like 3 or 4. So Yavin 4. So we got all the lists up. Somebody went through and did compile all the data again. And it still looks like Throne Room was kind of no idea. Were still the popular ones for light. Map and Court were the popular ones for dark. No surprises there. The question is how will that hold up moving into the next major event? With Legend winning North American Continentals and being played at the Hungary Championship this last weekend, and both Ketwall and Angelo played it. They both went 5-1, and Kieran ends up winning the tournament. Congrats to him for doing that. So we will. I think they both played Legend and Black Sun. So we'll see just exactly where Legend fits in. Is it going to be the hot new deck that people kind of migrate from? You get to use the new Luke, the new cards, the new objective. You don't have to run Jedi Lukes and stuff like that. It's got some very strong mechanics, but some very intricate mechanics that do take some getting used to. Will it need to be adjusted? Will it need to be toned down? Is it just here we go. Here's Reed's. Reed played Throne Room for light, and he did play a stunning move for dark here, and people were very interested to see this list. So we're going to pause on this one for a second, and we'll discuss it briefly. Yeah, he just looped Jonas around to soak up all the damage. Whilst that's ISB, that is. Anywho, totally lost my train of thought. Oh, Legend. So yes, we'll see if is Legend going to be the new It deck. How do people react and respond to it? Is it one of those things where now Dark Side evolves to their meta? You look at the numbers and it's like, all right, well, No Idea is really popular, Throne Room is really popular. Legend's going to gain some popularity. Does that shift Dark Side to different matchups that give it more of an advantage? A deck that may not have been very work very well. And we'll take Hunt Down, for example. Hunt Down does not do very well against No Idea. It does terrible against Old Allies, and it's probably about a coin flip, 55-45 against Throne Room. But if Court is going to force No Idea to be down a little bit because of the no bargain Effantmon tech, Throne Room's going to stay right where it is, and people are going to kind of migrate over to Legend for a little bit. Does that let Hunt Down be more playable? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It still has a rough matchup with Old Allies. Or, this is where those mind games come in. Does everybody go, well, if people are going to start teching for Legend, now's a good time to go back to Old Allies, because only 4 people played it at North American Continental, so that must mean people aren't really teching for it very much. Now, some of the cards, of course, are always going to overlap depending on, which decks and which styles, which builds you're running. If you're running a No Idea deck like Adam had with the vehicles, well, that's also going to also, if you're preparing for something like that and you're playing Dengar and P59 and that kind of stuff in your deck already, then you're going to be more prepared for an Old Allies deck with the speeders or, any of that other stuff. But, yeah, I know this is always that weird, clearly I cannot choose the glass of wine in front of you thing where it just drives everybody nuts when they're trying to prep for major tournaments because you're trying to stay ahead of the curve and anticipate people's responses, and the best players succeed at that. They go, okay, so if everyone's going to jump on the Legend bandwagon, then I need to jump another step further ahead of that and stay ahead of the curve. And then what's one move beyond that too? Because if you assume everyone goes, oh well, you know what, Legend's getting really popular, I'm going to go back to playing Old Allies instead, and it's like, but everyone's going to assume we're playing Old Allies too, so maybe we'll go one step further and we'll all play something even more unexpected. um, I don't know what that would be because I'm not thinking that far ahead like some of these other guys, but how does one tech for Old Allies? Well, I've seen people have success against Old Allies when you get rid of their vehicles, whether it's the Falcon, through things like Overwhelmed or stuff like that, or you shoot it while it's still a vehicle. Um, you stop them from flipping. If you can cause, a lot of early damage through something like Watto or Visage or Search and Destroy, which is what the Stunning Move deck is playing, and try and force them to lose a couple key cards early. Maybe they blind top deck something because they really like their hand, or they've already lost a couple force. Like if you did Watto with Search and Destroy and they already, they burn 2 for Watto, and then they've got either they're playing with like a 5-card hand at that point, or they also have to top deck something. Maybe they top deck uh, a site or something that they need to flip. That could certainly put some pressure on them, and that would be a way to beat Old Allies. High-speed tactics is pretty strong, getting rid of the Falcon or the speeders when they're on the ground, whether you're using the speeder bike or the swoop cycles to do that. But Overwhelmed is a good way to get them out of space. But sometimes even that isn't enough. Court does that very well between, like Guri Stinger and some of the other ships, and Dengar canceling immunity or Proxima drawing multiple destinies, that kind of stuff. You can run them out of space. You just have to be too careful that you don't overcommit because they're going to spread on the ground. If you're piling up in space in front of them, they're going to spread on the ground. I think the other way to do it, which people have said is the good way, is you don't put out your system if you're playing against them. You just attack Jakku and you take Jakku from them and don't give them anywhere to run to. The problem is some decks kind of need the force activation from other systems. Like Court by itself only gets like 9 without Nalhutta out, unless they put the 2/2 out. So if they haven't got that out yet, you're not really threatening them all that much with just 9 force. So, but yeah, Guri is pretty good for that. Guri Stinger is a great combo for taking out the Falcon because you know they have defensive interrupts like Punch It or the. I'm getting kind of good at this. I think it is the one that Finn deploys, or Finn adds to Battle Destiny when he's with Poe or Ray. So there's that, and just also being able to cancel the react with Finn, whether it's barrier on him or sense or the get combo or whatever to cancel that react. Barriers are great ones, especially if you can cause enough damage then to clear the ship, um, which is also something else that sometimes Court can do very well. With Ponda Baba, like making solo forfeit 0, and then if you barrier Finn when he comes down as a react, then really the only person they have to forfeit is Ray, and if you just beat 7 with 2 or 3 Destiny, everything goes. Um, assuming he's there. Sometimes, most of the time it's Calrissian, but maybe you got him last battle and now you're coming back over the top. There's ways. We'll leave it at that. There's different strategies. There's different ways to do it. It kind of depends, how the game sets up and where your opponent's going with. But Old Allies is certainly not unbeatable, especially now without Harksef to minimize the damage and make the game even more boring and ridiculous. So, but a stunning move. So we haven't looked much at a stunning move yet. We sort of caught a glimpse of it a couple weeks ago in one of our featured matches, but Reed certainly took a much more, a very different approach to it, running destroyer droids as his main platform. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 droidicas, 4 regular destroyer droids. That's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Hey, I was just blind guessing when I said he had 15 droids and a bunch of their support interrupts. Um, but yeah, that's what he played. He played 15 destroyer droids. Where there's droidicas, you cannot hide forever, which he is ditching to get search and destroy right away. So you kind of put some droids out and get the search and destroy damage going. Try and get this guy moving. Try and cause some more direct damage by forcing them to whether they want to let you take a card or not. And then you start getting into some of the other fun little interrupts. So they certainly have, of course, sniper dark strikes. Um, they subtract from your defense value. They easily hit your guys and pick them off because a lot of the stuff, these are all 5s and 6s. And then you hit them with the Wounded Warrior, which is even better because now they're power 0 and they can't use their ability towards drawing Battle Destiny. So that comes down pretty well. Hit him with the blaster or something like that, then possibly drop Maul for backup, or just Maul goes and clears other stuff because he starts, or Maul escorts the prisoner while you send the droids to do some cleanup, and then they just kind of work their way around switch offs and rollings and whatnot. So very creative, very strong deck when played in a talented player's hands. I would not recommend this for a new player. There's certainly a lot of moving parts to it, a lot of game text on a lot of different cards. So if you're looking for something as a newer player, this would not be a good place to start. But if you're a more advanced player just looking for an interesting take on a stunning move deck that doesn't focus so much on Grievous and whatnot, like Grievous isn't even in this deck. He literally does not have one copy of Grievous in the entire deck. So kudos to him for his creativity there. There's a Team Pittsburgh Scum deck. And the QMC. And here's Tom's court that he played. Looks pretty traditional Boba Fett's. He's got a Dacha in there. What was he trying to pull with that? 4 Llama Guri. He's got a bunch of droids in here, actually. Okay. I never ask that question. I don't know what that card does. Is it in GEMP? I never asked that question. Oh, this is this one where you stack an interrupt. If opponent just played an interrupt, use 2 force to deploy on table, stack that card here. If opponent just drew Destiny or played an interrupt with the same card title, they lose 1 force. So when they play something like Wisa or Rescue in the Clouds that you know they're playing 3 or 4 copies of, you use 2 force or you play Oppressive Enforcement, so your immediate effects deploy for free, and you stack it. So it's a grabber, so you take that 1 copy away from them. And then if they play another copy later in the game or draw it for Battle Destiny, they lose a force. That's not bad. Concept by Kevin Jepp. Congratulations, Kevin. That's a fairly clever card. I know there's a light side version too. So that's pretty interesting. I think it works better for dark side than it does for light side. Dark side doesn't really have as many repeating interrupts. At least not, I'm sure in certain decks you get that. Obviously, Court plays a couple copies of Twi'lek. You'll see a few copies that are playing like Accelerate or Sonic Bombardments or things like that. Um, but then there's plenty of other decks like ROPS that really don't play duplicates of anything. Maybe just Command or something like that. And you're probably going to grab that with your regular grabber to take it out of play and have them force them to keep stacking it there. And map, you got 1 or 2 trooper assaults or blaster points or blast points. Probably not again going to pay off too heavily there. But against light side, you see a lot of the same interrupts across the board in a lot of decks. All of your various mains platforms will be running 3 to 4 copies of Wisa and 3 to 4 copies of Rescue in the Clouds. So if you snag one of those with this card, you could certainly, because every time they draw it for Destiny, so Weapon Destiny, Battle Destiny, they keep drawing those Wisas over and over again, keep making them lose force. Either they're going to lose those cards so they stop taking damage for them, or they're going to have to lose other cards to keep their high Destinies floating through. That's not bad. Anything else interesting in here? There's the no bargain. That is, and he didn't have no F-Ontmon, huh? Nope. Doesn't look like he played F-Ontmon. He played no bargain, which makes Rebels deploy +2. So it's a great counter for no idea because their guys deploy -1. Now you make them basically all deploy +1 when they come to Jabba's palace sites. So it does slow them down a little bit and make them, they can't quite overwhelm you as much and take your audience chamber. But I know some of them were also playing F-Ontmon, who just says spies can't deploy, and whether they were putting him in the audience chamber or at the other site, the Great Pit of Carcoon, to kind of just lock out Tatooine, keep them have to do the ping, or putting him at the beach to basically take away one of No Idea sites, so most of their guys can't deploy or move to the beach, and then they're kind of stuck inside just at that Drain 1 site, so they're doing one, and then, if he's got Decree, which I don't see in here. So they're doing 2 damage and 1 damage, and then you take the system from them, and then they can't move out, and yeah, so they only have a few other guys that they can use to fight you with. So that's kind of the no idea strategy. Plus, F-Otmon's not bad. He's a leader, so you can pull him with Twi'lek. Jabba Space Cruiser can also pull him aboard if you happen to go to space with Jabba. You've got options. You can forfeit him in space to soak up all the battle damage and attrition. So he's an interesting character, but doesn't always make the cut. Maybe he could go in for Dacha. Hey, look, he played Old Allies. Now, again, Harksef. That's what we saw on stream, him using the Harksef and just kind of just piling everybody up and moving away. And it was, drain 1, retrieve 1 with Rose, move 7 guys away kind of thing. And just keep satisfying the objective and mitigating the damage. That loophole has been closed, as we often do to Tom when he has taken advantage of loopholes. It's not really a loophole. It's overkill. The deck's already really strong. You got Charlie's throne room that he wrote in Sharpie. And that seems to be the last of the deck lists. All right, so there they all are. So we got all those up and running for everybody. Those are all here, and that will give people plenty of time to read and adjust before the World Championships start in just over 2 weeks. No, just under 2 weeks. Did I miss out on the Ray AI foil? I signed up for pre-reg but couldn't make it to Continentals last minute. You did miss out on it not being there to get it at the event. I will look and see if I do have one or two extras and possibly could uh, mail it out to you. Just go ahead and send me like a PM or something like that, just so I remember to do that because I have a lot of things on my plate these days and I can be a little forgetful. Um, see if we have any additional players added. I don't think we do. I think we're kind of locked out here. There's 70 people on the list, although the first one is Chris and Tomas. So we've got 69 players, it looks like, for the World Championships. Certainly going to be one of the bigger tournaments we've had. Definitely going to be more than 8 people who will be 6-2 or better. So certainly expect, if you want to feel safe, you got to win 7 games. You got to go 7-1 if you want to be safe. Otherwise, you've got a good chance of having a play-in game. Game 9, round 9, Saturday night after you've been playing, and in the case of many of the Euros and probably half of the Americans, drinking all day. You're going to have to go one more round. So seven's going to be the number this time, not 6. But I had to go. So let's see if we have any interesting games going on here that we can pop into real quick. WAP Watto, Hoth CRV Profit. No. All right. So we'll see if I can find a decent game link that we can take a look at for this week. And we'll get a formal announcement together for the Outrider Cup in the next week or so, but I did want to spoil that for you guys. What was I looking for? Oh, right. Okay. So we'll move on to our featured game of the week, and it will once again feature the Legend deck. Just because the more we see it and the more we learn it, the more we'll understand it, and then perhaps the less we'll need it to be eroded, because we'll all understand how to play against it a little bit better. There's quite a few Luke Skywalker the Emperor's prizes going on there. So we've got Fungineer playing with Black Sun against your North American Continental Champion Greg Shaw playing with Legend. I don't know. This is probably not the version he played at Continentals on day 2, because as he mentioned, he did not get that deck list until about 10 minutes before the tournament started. So let's close some of these windows down. So he's starting a Brave Resistance, which kind of seems to be the way to go with the Legend decks. In order to cycle through your guys, set up your destinies, get your better characters when you need them, and get a little extra force activation in the process, and Walkling as well. And then it looks like he's starting Insight in this particular game. I know some of them were ditching this for Honor. Certainly is a good way around stuff like Scum and the 1 ping damage, or also Black Sun, the damage for not having Luke out. You could possibly set that up or protect from that with Honor. The problem is that those 2 decks and Huntdown, the decks that rely on the direct damage the most, and Watto also typically play No Escape. So then you're trying to mitigate damage for a couple turns while you're waiting for them to find their No Escape. But as we can see, Fungineer already has it in hand. So Honor's not going to do a whole lot this game for Mr. Shaw. going to do or do not. The Imp Decree will mitigate that to 1 once he moves over. The Goldenrod to make the Emperor cost 2. That'll slow down the first turn just a little bit. And it looks like he's got his sights. 2 of them in his opening hand. That's unfortunate. He did verify though, and did find that his 2-0 sight is in here. Oh, looks like he's playing an extra sight. He's playing the 500 Republica sight. Interesting. I wouldn't know why you would need an extra battleground site on Coruscant. But I guess just in case, he packed an extra site. But he'll get his Imperial City. And just look at this activation jump. He's already up to 12. I don't know, I'd put this site out yet, but he drops the Vigo. He's going to use that Vigo. And the Vigo will pull him the extra site, because the Vigo does just get you a battleground. You use one force to download a non-War Room battleground planet site not already on table. So you could use him to get you any battleground. Usually they end up pulling the Coruscant site so they can get all their other sites and their activation going, but you can use it to pull anything. I've seen people use this to pull the audience chamber so they can set up scum in Black Sun. Then you have to worry about defending the audience chamber, which isn't always the easiest thing to do, and then you're fighting on 2 different planets. But, it can be done. I'm sure there's a couple of other sites you could end up getting a benefit of pulling. I don't think Darkseid has a nightclub anymore, so they're not getting that Coruscant site. But, who knows what else could be out there coming down in the future. He'll move over with the Prince. Flip the objective. Put the site back. He's not going to put the site back. Figured we'd use the objective to put the site back before drawing the card, because he can pull the site next turn, and then he can see at least what that force is and whether or not he wants to use it. He's got a masterful move instead to grab the Gick. He should also pull the shield here, the fanfare shield, and use that to go get the bounty, which I'm surprised he has not done yet here in the deploy phase. He's going to drop honor. And so he put a card back that was not the site. Oh, thank you very much for following, Lulu. And Josh is going to draw a bunch of cards and draw big. He definitely should have put the site back. That's all I'm going to say. Because you can pull it right back out. So instead he's putting more useful cards from his hand to look at his force pile. And I would not recommend doing that. He's gotten rid of a couple decent cards so far. There's a drain of 1. There's the objective damage, which the honor will reduce. He's going to get himself another Vigo. He's over deploying now. He over deployed Guri. And now he's going to draw a couple of cards. There's the fist. Okay, she'll probably end up getting shuttled up there at some point in the near future. And expand the Empire. I would assume the expand the Empire is for the drain bonus, because this particular site says it's on Coruscant and your Black Sun agent here. You force drain +1 here. So you put the expand on this site, and then expands the text to add the drain +1. It does also have the side benefit if your opponent is playing the Boss Nash Chambers and the Naboo Battle Planes. You put this on the Boss Nash Chambers because it expands the game text, which says opponent may not force drain here, which then extends it to the battle planes so they can't drain you at the battle planes. That's why you've seen a lot of the throne room decks switch to the lower corridor and use that instead because it gets around this. Also has the double benefit the lower corridor does of the rescue in the clouds because you can cancel destinies targeting some of your mid-range characters. So he still hasn't pulled the shield and pulled the bounty. Maybe he's not playing the Zizor's bounty, or maybe he just doesn't remember that he can get it that way. There's the saddle. Finn went back, and Ray with lightsaber was who he took into hand. And Luke's going to be over there now. And here comes Ray. She's pretty safe there. And he'll just draw a couple of cards. He's going to pay 3 and drain for 1 again. The objective damage is a required action, so the GEMP enforces it regardless of whether he clicks the button or not. There goes the fist. There goes P59 to the other site. And there goes that expand the empire in the middle. Now, it's not doing anything right now. It's expanding it to this outside site. Alright. He just pulled There Is No Try. His opponent has already pulled Do or Do Not, so I don't like this play. If your opponent has already pulled Do or Do Not, there's a pretty good chance they're not playing Sense and Alter. So you don't really need your Sense Shield as well to double the damage of a card they're unlikely to play, especially when you're also already running Senses, because now when you do need to play that Sense for that one key interrupt mid to late game, you're now going to take extra damage for it. I mean, maybe because Decree won't help protect you because it's your card. So Decree will reduce Do or Do Not to 1, but it will not reduce There Is No Try. So I don't like this shield play and would not recommend doing that. And now he's got to shuttle up one of them Vigos or a Guri, and I'll take both. Now he's got several battlegrounds, and he'll leave that extra force behind. Still hasn't pulled the bounty yet, though. I guess we're going to have to assume that he's not playing it, which we'll chalk up to a curious deck building decision. And we'll just go with that. Rose goes back, Finn comes into hand. There comes Lando. He needs a resistance character if he wants to flip. There we go. He's got a Finn. Now he's got a resistance character. He's going to deploy Greedo as a react. Let's do the math on this one. By deploying Greedo as a react, you know your opponent's going to flip, and you know they're going to probably make you redraw if you draw something well. So you're not going to be able to use your weapon to shoot anybody. And if you draw something decent, they're going to make you redraw it. 10 to 7, they get 2 Destiny. You assume the average in a light side deck is about 3.5. So in this style of deck, so you will assume that they have a combined total of 7, gets them to 17. At best, you draw 3. You draw 3. Anything else, they're going to make you redraw, unless you happen to redraw 2 forwards or something like that. So these guys will just barely cover. So then you have to ask yourself, which would you rather have in your hand, a Gick or a reacting Greedo? And I guess you're probably better off with the Gick, so you're just letting Greedo, basically throwing Greedo to the Wolves to die here. Although having him to react to a battle where they have no force available, not enough force available to shoot, is fairly handy. Greedo does not get any type of forfeit bonus the way he does in court. So if they happen to draw high here, though, if they draw like 2 5s and you're at 20, then you're losing both these guys and still playing the Gick. So that's the only downside and why I was wanting to work through it and work it out. Is this live? The game being played? No, that's why I paused it. You can't pause a live game. Um, but you're welcome, Lulu. Welcome to the channel. And that's why we do this series each week, is just to try and be as informative as we can and kind of talk through some processes and kind of just raise the level of play of Star Wars. So Shaw does flip, so there'll be no weapons for Darkseid. And now he will look at the top two cards, top card of reserve deck, top card of force pile, figure out where to put them. And he put them both on top of his reserve deck. So he's going to draw two fives. And P59, Greedo, and very likely a Gick are all going to be played here. Oh, 5-6. So that's just one of those things. If you're anticipating your opponent's move and kind of where the game state is at, you're more likely to say, I'm going to save that Greedo. He doesn't make him redraw the 4. Okay, I guess he's afraid of drawing an Emperor and possibly drawing a 6. So he's going to be content with the 4. Finn dies. Darkseid loses both guys, and they still have 2 overflow. Excuse me. They get off a little easy there. He'll have to peel 2 cards. Not worth playing the Gick for that. They'll just lose 2 cards off the top or out of the used pile or whatever. And he loses a Sense and a Dengar. And a Hear Me Baby for an extra shield to get weapons display. In case they do barrier people, they'll have to lose some force for it as well. He pays upkeep on Lando and leaves quite a few force behind, staying at 12 cards. Kind of important to keep your hand at 12 in most matchups. You never know what decks are playing Monarch, but at the same point in time, if you don't need to risk it, don't. Now he's going to peek at the cards in his force pile. This is one of the huge benefits of the Black Sun objective and why it's very important to keep the deck flipped as long as you can, because you peek at the cards of your force pile once per turn, but you place a card from hand down. And when you do that, these cards don't get shuffled. They stay in the exact same order. So you can then do the math in your head and figure out, here's what I can spend, and then here's what I'm going to draw into. See, he put the no escape back. That was one of the cards he put back early to check out the cards in his force pile. Instead of putting back the sight, he put back the no escape when his opponent had the insight out to go get the honor. That's cost him 2 force damage already so far, because he could have used that, or at least 1. He could have used that the last turn to take a card or something into hand. Just to even get a starting interrupt back. But just to make the damage. But now, obviously, there's got a character on top. You'd love to have that no escape in hand to just drop and at least get a guy. But looking at this here, he needs an Emperor. Oh, he is playing the bounty. And he's used all his force, so he just never pulled it. Maybe he just didn't remember that he could do that with the fanfare shield. So if you're looking at, he needs an Emperor. He's got one. If he spends, he's not gonna. If he just draws, he's gonna get one fairly early, and then he'd get a barrier and a Boba Fett, and maybe draw a few more and kind of stop here at Cad Bane, or maybe he could keep going. Or if he doesn't really have any force to spend, there's nothing really to move or do much. He's just going to drain, doesn't have to pay to drain. So he's very likely to just draw a bunch of cards. And now you're trying to figure out how far do you draw. I'd probably draw to here. Greg's already shield busted, so you know he can't pull the shield to stop this. So I would draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just draw 12 cards. I know he said you don't want to go over that, especially because he only has 2 cards in hand. But if you can get to the always thinking with your stomach here, if your opponent does go ahead and force drain you with Rey, you can make her missing. And that might be the important thing to do. I don't think he has a way to really spend any force. He can play the cold feet to play a shield to get a card out of his hand, and So that way he's still going to be at 13. I'm sure he can find a way to get one more card if necessary. He can use the maybe. He already did this during the beginning of his turn. He can drop another card back if he wanted to, just to get back to 12. But we do get drains of 2 and a drain of 1 at the system. Ahsoka, Rey, and a Sense. Okay, so his opponent is playing Sense. So he really wanted to punish him for it and not punish himself so much. Um, all right, he is going to deploy Forlom, so he won't draw as many cards, and then he can use Forlom to cycle stuff back. So that works out. But he's going to be just over the one Emperor, so now he's got to find a way to get to the second Emperor, who is pretty far down toward the bottom. Yeah, we're going to get some Boba Fett action, and then there's a Cad Bane a couple cards further down. There's the Lana Doe Breed. Always thinking. I think 2 more to get to the Emperor. So he's going to have to pass on that for now. But he can cycle cards with 4 lobs, so maybe he'll find an Emperor off the top or something. And Shaw's not going to force drain, just going to go right to deploy, and he's going to deploy Leia with possibly a gun. Oh, and a Padme to add a Destiny to attrition. Emperor was 2 cards further down. And Rey's going to move over. So the barrier lets him off the hook. The firepower will not let him retrieve because he doesn't control a battleground site. He's got to move Lando over to try and basically squeeze him a little bit. And he's going to draw a few. I think a Boba Fett Cad Bane beatdown could be coming. And if he happened to Forlom back some decent destinies and stuff. Ooh, and there goes Leia's gun off the top. Now the question is they going to go after Lando, or is he just going to go after everybody else? Lando's probably the safer play. You just go Cad Bane, Boba Fett. You battle Lando, and then you just slide the other 2 over. And there's the perimeter scan that will prevent Boba from participating in battle. Ouch. He's going to drop the Ellison Hinthra for backup. And he's going to Forlom back the Lana Doe Breed card to get another. And it gets him the Cold Feet. He's going to retrieve the Dengar. You can drop the Dengar with Cad Bane. Pay 1 to battle. Shoot Lando. He can before he does all this, he should peek. So one of the things the objective does here, once during each of your battle phases, peek at the top X cards of any reserve deck, where X equals the number of locations you occupy. So you should use this, and you should peek at the top. Well, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 battlegrounds that he occupies. So that would see what cards are there destiny-wise. What can Dengar hit? Are these if these are 2 1s? then this battle doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Um, if you look and you say, okay, well, if I shoot and then it's a crappy destiny, and then I can shoot again, and to get rid of that one, to then get to a better destiny to draw for battle destiny, maybe you can get some overflow out of this, but definitely should peak first. And the downside here is if he's going to pay 2 to move these guys away, he no longer has the 2 force to upkeep Boba, so Boba's going to have to be lost. And he's going to play the imbalance combo to make him lose a force. I would recommend saving that for later. There's a pretty good chance this deck is running Sorry About the Mess, so you probably want to hold that back to protect against the Sorry About the Mess. Lando's hit, forfeit 0. Now would be a great time to peek to find out, do you want to shoot again to move a crappy destiny around, or do you want to just draw a good destiny? I mean, I guess if he remembers where the cards were in his force pile, if he's counting, then he doesn't need to do that because then he would know. So he spent 3 force to deploy 4 llama on his turn, and then he started drawing cards and he played the cold feet. So if the cold feet was the card that was just on top, then the Emperor was there, then it's no escape, then this card here underneath it would be U3PO, which would be a lower destiny. So by doing it in the right order there, he drew the right destiny cards. So we'll give him credit for doing that. Dark side to draw, a light side to draw a 5. So Cad Bane has to go. Boba's going to have to lose 2 force to go used. Oh, he's going the other way. He's moving everybody over in front of everybody because Black Sun agents move to there for free. That makes more sense. I should actually read the text on the sites once in a while. I always forget Black Sun agents move to that site for free. Pay the upkeep, activate, and just hope he doesn't have to sorry about the mess now because between the 13 cards in his hand and using his once per game dig a card out of your force pile, um, if he were to sorry about the mess, the Prince, yep, there it comes. Um, or Boba. Yeah, I really wish you had an imbalance combo right now to cancel that, I bet. And he's hit. Coward's going to kick in to stop the retrieval at least, but no more Boba Fett. And it looks like light side's going to go to space here. He puts a card from hand back to look at the card in his force pile. Gold leader. That will with Holdo. Uh-oh. No, don't spend that force. Wah, wah, wah. Gold leader says you need to use force to draw battle destiny. Now you're not going to get to draw battle destiny. There's the Leia's gun that he retrieved back from the Lando battle. He's going to initiate the battle there. Use Leia's text to retrieve one. Leia's going to get to take a shot, whether he'll peek and move the cards first to make sure, or if he already knows what's there. He's going to shoot Dengar and just take Dengar out of the battle. Yep, there's another Lando. This is what makes Legend strong, is its ability to do deck manipulation. It's one of the things Black Sun does very well too. You just have to be a master manipulator to play it right. Neither of them are easy decks to play. They're very complicated and convoluted, And while they seem like, wow, this deck just does all these crazy things and wins, it's like it's knowing when to do the crazy things and how to pull them off. That can be a little challenging sometimes. Oh, he's going to Jedi Lev that. He may have a destiny issue now. He's swinging at the Vigo with Ray. They're both the same forfeit, right? Because he's forfeit +2 when with the Prince or something. Yeah, while present, forfeit +2. So, makes sense to hit the guy who's cheaper to deploy. I guess if he does need to, he can move a card from his force pile back onto his reserve deck to make sure he's got enough destiny. Ouch. He drew a Jakku. We got Ryan. Spending that force honestly probably saves you, right? If you put Decree out of play and still pay 1 to draw, Legend makes you redraw. You don't get the second. Yeah, you decline and you draw 1 if unable to otherwise with the Decree. And I think, and that'll get you around Gold Eater. Maybe that's what he's thinking by spending the force. Is he's just going to pop Decree because it's not doing him a whole lot this game so far anyway. He does have 1 battle damage. The Prince is immune to less than 5, so he can just top deck a card and keep the Prince around. And now he'll battle in space with Holdo, and then he can retrieve for doing that up there. Yep, and he will pop the Decree to get the Battle Destiny. So he draws a 4. And he is going to make him redraw that. And this should still work. Because he's still drawing if unable to otherwise. And he ends up drawing a 5. Which I think is going to get rid of Holdo. Because I believe she forfeits for 5. Yep. Oh, he's got 7 attrition because he's flipped. Haha. So he's got to lose both. That's no good. Because this thing here says for each Black Sun agent in a battle, attrition against opponent is +1. More moving parts, more game text, adding to things from other places, which is what makes this deck more challenging. There's Afra for free. She'll get back the P59. Now he's going to remember to peek. And he's going to put the Gick back to take the IG. And now he's got a decent Battle Destiny on top. No Destiny for light side. Profundity should go away. He's going to make him redraw the 4 again. Hoping he draws something lower. Not that it really makes much of a difference. Oh, he draws a 1. Profundity's not immune to anything, so he still has to lose it. If he had something like they're tracking us to subtract 1, that would have been great there. shuttled the prince up. And then he shuttled Guri down? Interesting. He's trying to maximize his ground damage, I guess. It doesn't really require the prince. Each battleground location occupied by the prince doesn't really require the prince to be on the ground to actually cause any damage, so that's pretty interesting. Here's a card you don't see very often, Defensive Fire Hut Smooch. Used part, randomly select a card from your opponent's hand and put it in their used pile. It's just a way of, having it have a secondary use. Its main purpose is right here, which is capture one opponent's undercover spy. You break their cover, so you don't have to target them with a weapon or anything like that. It's like, hey, Jin Urso, you're just my prisoner now. And on the off chance, you're sitting at one of these sites early, and they deploy a spy, and you happen to have this, you can kick the spy back to their hand to prevent them from being able to. It only works on sites, not systems. So if they go here with like Rogue One and Corrin Horn or something like that, you could kick Corrin Horn. You can't kick Corrin Horn out because it says only sites. But if if the Emperor's sitting here and they drop like Corrin Horn and they want to try and deploy some of their guys in battle, you can kick Corrin Horn out, and then they have to find somebody else who's a spy, or try again next turn. So. Adding 2 to power, probably not the most important thing with the fist. The profundity's already gone. I know they do run a second ship, usually probably like a Falcon or something like that, which is probably why you'd want it more to have Guri up there to limit them to just a 1 draw. Could be, oh, he put solo used to get Chewie. So does he already have solo? Nope, he's just going ground. He looked, he saw a bunch of good destiny. And now he's going to try and play the defensive fire to hopefully. Greg had 7 cards in hand. He's got a 1 in 7 chance of getting the card that Greg needed. I guess he didn't. It's Master Qui-Gon still coming down because this objective does not have character restrictions on it. So you can go ahead and play all the other guys you want. We saw Ahsoka go by earlier. Very strong character. I've seen a lot of EPP Qui-Gon usually because your destiny's pretty good, so you can hit and clear multiple guys. Plus, it's another guy you can trigger a Jedi's resilience with. Chewie's going to take a shot at P-59. Hey, there's Jin. And did he get the sorry about the mess? He retrieved it. Does he have it back in hand already? Now he'll play the Lanado breed to keep his forfeit. Shoot back at Chewie. Try and cause some direct damage here. There's the 5. Does he want to make him redraw it? No. Is it only Battle Destiny you can redraw? I don't think so. I think it's any Destiny. Once per turn during battle, any Destiny. Oh, but he doesn't take the Force loss because of honor, because he never played No Escape. Right. And he doesn't have 3 battlegrounds. He's only at 2. That's unfortunate. The good news is with the Lanado breed keeping the forfeit value on P-59, Aphra and P-59 will cover, and Guri can live. So they'll cover the damage. Chewie will die, and then it'll be up to whether he's going to leave Qui-Gon in front of Guri or whether Qui-Gon's going to move over to join the ladies. Your opponent's got a fairly small hand, 4 cards. Qui-Gon by himself against Guri feels pretty safe, but you never know in a deck like this. And you might want to just play it safe and move Qui-Gon away. Greg's going to opt not to do that, and he's going to just let it roll. So we shall see. But now he's going to pay to drain. There's Boba Fett. There's IG. So again, he's either tracking already, and we're going to put the Emperor down. If the Emperor goes to the third battleground, there you go. Maybe that's the advantage of the site, that he's playing it this way. Because this site has to go all the way over here, so they have to walk through all these non-battlegrounds to get to your Emperor. Interesting. Looks at the Force Lightning. It's not there. A couple of red cards, though. Now he's going to peek and see. He looks at the top of his opponent's deck, and he sees 4/1/4 sitting on top. So they're both armor 5. So the 4/1 won't hit if he swings. If he shoots, he doesn't have a force to shoot with Leia, so he can't shoot the gun anyway. But even if he did, if he shot the gun, he'd miss, and then if he drew the 1 and the 4, he'd miss again. So this seems like a win for Fungineer here. And then Shaw's going to shuffle his opponent's reserve deck. If only he knew he needed to shuffle his own. He picks up the defensive fire, gets one of the 2s out of his reserve deck, and takes a card out of his opponent's hand. And then doesn't battle. That is very curious. And then just pays the upkeep on Boba Fett. It's a very slow, very methodical game. Black Sun's holding pace with Legend, and they're not really losing board control here. Shaw doesn't have much of a hand, so he certainly has some flexibility and some options to himself. He draws that last card. Yeah, I don't know why he never pulled the fanfare to get the effect, the immediate effect. Now you shoot Ig and take him out of the battle and then leave Boba Fett by himself. Yeah, this is going to be costly. That's why I was really surprised he didn't battle the turn before. He couldn't fire Leia's gun. He would have cleared both of his opponent's characters, very likely. I think he could have drawn 3 Destiny together that would have broken 7. Obviously, he couldn't capture anybody because he didn't really have the ability there. But at the very least, he gets Leia off the table, or possibly both cards. I don't know, he's going to make you redraw 1, I guess. Maybe they just weren't solid enough. He gets lucky and he misses Boba, though. I'll get a Destiny here. Anything under 4. Oh, it's Jakku again. That cursed card. Oh. Have a great night, Lulu. Thanks for coming out and checking out the channel. Enjoying some Star Wars stuff with us. So Boba's going to live to fight another day. And they're going to move away from Boba. And then I think Greg's going to reload his hand here. Nope. He left Rey. He must have the Hujix. That's the only thing I can think of. He's just not afraid of any type of ore barrier or something like that. But the way he's kind of played this game, it feels like he's had the Hujix for quite some time. Causes a force loss. Oh, Master Qui-Gon tried to upload a card that really wasn't successful. I'll put the Force Lightning back and draw a card off the reserve deck. Hey, there's that bounty card from helpful quite a while ago. Get some drains going, 1-1 here. And now he can finally cause objective damage as well. He's got enough battlegrounds covered. It's going to cause 2 damage now. And then we'll see the Ellis to move the Prince and Guri over. No. He's really just playing the long, patient grind game. He's just like, I'm not going for the beatdown. I'm not swinging for the home run. I'm just going to just slowly milk the clock here, grind the game out. And, I mean, it's working. Technically, he's ahead on life force counts right now. 17 and 9 is 26. He's technically he's down by 2, but his opponent is the one who's he's moving Forlom over to join the other 2. This is a very interesting move that I'm just going to just chalk up to I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why you wouldn't use the Ellis the other way for the beatdown. I mean, I guess you know it, your opponent, if you feel like your opponent's got the Hujix, then there's really no point in doing it that way. And he's just going to try and cycle some cards back, get some better characters, get some better destinies together. He takes a second Profundity. Either he or did he retrieve the Profundity when he did one of the Leia battles? He might have gotten that back. Yep. Profundity, Tantive. We got a Poe Dameron. Nope, just 2 ships. Interesting. All right, so we're going to get a battle on the ground. We're going to get a Leia's gun taken out. Boba Fett. Probably going to draw a Rose. They probably have cycled or tracked around, right? Hear me, baby. Okay. And Boba Fett's going to be immediately lost, so there goes the extra battle destiny. And quite a bit of power. Make Qui-Gon power -1. He's putting characters back to check out the cards in his force pile. Like, you need these characters to deploy in battle, people. Stop putting them back. And he draws the fist, which both of those guys are immune to. So it looks like oh, because he added 3 because he's flipped, so he would have had to lose Leia. See, I keep forgetting about that. It's like, wait, why did he have 5 attrition? Oh, right, plus 3 characters. So he loses Jasper, and he's gonna imbalance combo to take Jasper back into hand. And and then lose Guri. So it looked like he did that just so he could cycle the interrupt back. And Greg's just going to shuttle Ray up and then draw a few cards. So he's got plenty of ability piloting now for something like Zuckuss. Had some pretty good Destiny left in that reserve deck. I'll admit, this game is definitely going longer than I expected it to. Appreciate you guys sticking with it for the not so exciting conclusion, but I'm sure we're all curious to see how this one's going to turn out because it seems like it's actually pretty close here. Obviously, a few things like having the bounty, like having the no escape earlier and things like that. Black Slime will probably be quite a bit ahead. Get Zuckuss. We're going to get Django. No battle. Move. Oh, he is going to battle. Look at that. He looks at his opponent's reserve deck and sees 5/5/5. Django's with Ray, so that's an EPP, so he'll get, that's one going to get redrawn. Good thing he left the extra card. It's always important to remember to do that, but looks like his Destiny's pretty solid as well. So he might still get two things here if he can just get above 8. If he can get the 9. Oh, nope, because he put Zam back, it was only a 2. If he had put, like, that always thinking with your stomach back, that's never really seemed to have gotten an opportunity to use. Looks like Zuckuss is probably going to get lost here, because I don't think the Vigo covers enough. Yeah. But he does have 9 attrition, so it is going to be a Tantive and Ray. This is where those little things start to add up, like these things on the objective here, these extra pings. And he does Resilience her back to hand. Cold Feet does stop that, in case you're wondering. Like, how do you prevent things like a Jedi's Resilience? The Cold Feet virtual card is what you would need to stop that. Prince runs away, and now he's going to hope Leia drains. Is it finally going to work? Is he finally going to fall into the trap and get always thinking with her stomached? Yep. There you go. Dun dun dun. Cancels the Force Drain, and Leia is now missing. So there, what do you know? It finally worked. It took 7 turns to set up, but it finally worked. And now we finally got the bounty to use to stop Rey. Uh-oh. Obi-Wan Kenobi. He had a couple good Destiny on top. He's going to peek to make sure he can do what he wants. He's going to activate them both. And we'll probably see Obi battle here. Causes the 2 force loss because Rey has to be excluded from the battle. That's the weapons display shield does. he's taking a swing at the prince, because if he can get the prince off the table, that'll flip the objective back and really cut down on the damage. And that should do it. Now I believe this card just prevents... may not battle this turn, so he can still shuttle Ray back up to the profundity, so he can keep his ship around if he wants. Alright, so that wasn't too bad for light side. That caused a couple direct damage, force loss, and their resilience OB back. And they get the prince off the table, which will flip the objective back. That'll stop some of the manipulation. That'll stop the extra attrition. And it will certainly stop the 2 force loss per turn. Also kicks him back down to 2 battlegrounds, so Honor's also back in effect. So the Shadows of the Empire damage. Is no longer in effect as well. But Lightside has run out of ground characters for now. So now the battle really just comes down to what's going to happen in space. And with Bosk to add a little extra muscle and Ray being back in space, they can draw 2 Battle Destiny. Oh, Bosk's going to go ground. I figured Bosk would have gone to space first, add a little extra power, make sure he wins the battle, and then he could just shuttle Bosk down afterwards if necessary. Without him being flipped, though, he's going to need a second strong Destiny, which Greg will make him redraw. Now he's got to hope that this is a decent one as well. Probably something he forlommed back. Okay, it is another 5. So that's going to clear Ray and the ship again. And that's pretty much going to lock up Coruscant for Fungineer here. And the objective limits immunity to less than 5. So if you're wondering why he's going to have to lose something here, that would be why. He's only forfeit +2 while present with the Prince. It's Obi and Rose. And he gets to retrieve Django because of the bounty. So the Fist is only immune to less than 5. But unfortunately, the whole ship's going to go down for Greg, and he has nothing left on the board except a missing Leia. So it appears that the slow grind tactic, along with an unfortunate timing, walking into and always thinking with your stomach, is likely to have Fungineer get out of here with a win. Unless he can cause some overflow. And this would be really the only place that he could do it. He's going to have to bank on the fact that his opponent may or not have any characters left in hand. But we do see he does have the force push, so he can at least go, if he's got any left in his deck, go dig 1 out. He burns the cold feet. Might have wanted to save that. Actually, no, he already verified his opponent's hand. He knows he doesn't have the Jedi's resilience. So resilience number 3, the cold feet would stop that. So, but I'm sure Obi's going to hit here. They'll both draw Battle Destiny. They'll both die. But Darkseid is going to be able to drain in space for free, drain on the ground for free. And U3PO could lock this game up pretty easily. But he's already ahead. So, yep, another 5. Worst case scenario, he just plays the Gick. He may not even need to do that. Yeah, he draws a 5. He'll redraw it, and then I'll redraw it into the 4, I believe, if I'm tracking this right. Yep. So 10 to 8. He could lose 2 cards. Or he could just lose the Emperor and Gick for 1 card. Nope, he's going to lose 2 cards. He'll lose the extra 4 Lam and top deck something. And because of the Expand the Empire, he's going to get drained for 2 and 1. And Greg's desperately going to look for any other characters he might have. But Rose has to live, otherwise this game's over. Oh, this game's over. Put those 2 cards back. Grab Zam. Force drain. Drop Zam. Battle Rose. Checkmate. No force saved means no barrier. Just because he can, he'll play shield number 7 this game. Redraw. We're going to assume he's got the Hoojix and he's not taking 6 overflow. But that also means he's not getting Leia back this turn. Oh god, no, don't do that. Oh, okay. He's moving Zam over too. I was going to say, don't move Forlom. Zam only draws while alone. If alone, draws one if unable to otherwise. So moving Forlom over would make Zam not alone. Um, so that's why I was... now again, don't do that again. And he's going to defensive fire and take that last card out of Greg's hand. And Greg's going to go ahead and throw in the towel. Because without being able to do anything next turn, he's going to take 5 damage. That'll put him down to like 7 or 8 cards. And then he can kind of just cycle back and do enough damage afterwards to mop up the difference. So congratulations to Fungineer for picking up a win. And thank you for submitting the game links. Certainly some interesting plays, but in the end, some of them worked out really well. And some bad Destiny draws with that Jakku system certainly didn't help. You set up the always thinking. It took you 7 turns to get there, but it paid off. So congratulations on the win, and thank you for submitting the game link. And thank all you guys very much for watching. That is going to wrap up our show for tonight. Be sure and check out Hollow Theater on Wednesday with Queso and Tartag. Don't know exactly what they got up their sleeve this week, but it should be a pretty interesting show, I bet. And then we'll be back next Monday. We'll preview some more of the World Championships, see what new developments there are in the Star Wars world, and hopefully have some more details for you about the Outrider Cup tournament. Team USA, Team the World. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Take care.